And welcome to today's Friday Facebook Live. Today we are talking all about landing pages. Landing pages are one of those things that I think there's a lot of confusion around them. A lot of businesses either don't feel that they need them or feel that they could perhaps have one landing page and everything will succeed. And usually there's a kind of in-between balance that businesses need to find. So that's what we're talking about today. What are landing pages? How can they help you? How do you go about setting one up? And then kind of any advice. If you've got any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat. Today we are joined by Aaron from Problem. So I will let you introduce yourself. Aaron, what's your name and where do you come from?
Hi everyone, I'm Aaron. I'm from a small, actually quite large town called Doncaster. Doncaster. It's famous for people who like to drink a lot of beer and the races, and I think that's probably about it.
Oh, the races, yes.
Yeah.
I was going to say, didn't Donington Music Festival used to be there, but that was Donington, not Doncaster. So yeah. Ignore that. Carry on.
Yeah, that's about it. What else do you want to know?
What's your company?
So I founded a company called Problem. I've been a web developer for ages, probably since I got my first computer. But the company's quite new. It's only been running since December, January time.
All right. And is it going well?
It's going fantastic so far, yeah. Thank you.
Brilliant. Touch wood, touch wood. Simon Dalley, who are you?
I am Simon Dalley.
Marvelous. And I am Rachel from GrowTraffic. So first of all, and I put this, we have a kind of WhatsApp group. If any of you have done this chat before, you'll know that we have a WhatsApp group in the week leading up to it where I put questions. And one of the questions I put in was, why are you passionate about landing pages? And Hannah bit the piss out of me for it, yeah?
I genuinely haven't read the questions.
What a surprise. You never ever read the questions. And what you also do is answer the next question with the current question. So there's nothing.
Try and guide me more in the questions then.
I will guide you in the questions. So my first question is, why are you passionate about landing pages? Aaron, why are you passionate about landing pages?
Isn't your first question normally what's your experience?
Well, this is what's your experience with landing pages? Why do you care about them? Yeah.
Cool. I wouldn't say I'm passionate about them, but they can be very, very powerful used in the right way. There's no doubt about that. Otherwise, there wouldn't be. There's kind of like a whole digital economy around landing pages now, and there's definitely a reason for that. So used in the right way, I can be very passionate about them.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that. Yeah. My experience. Do you want me to go into that?
Yeah, go on. Tell us your experience.
So my experience is generally just in web languages, websites, web apps. So, and obviously with whether you're building like a web app or a website, naturally they're going to have landing pages within them. And I think it is definitely a common misconception about what a landing page is and how they can be used. So it'd be good to get into what you guys think a landing page is versus what I think a landing page is, because I don't think there is actually a set definition.
No.
So yeah, my I've been using landing pages probably since about 2015. So I'm definitely not like an originator of landing pages or anything like that. But I've had enough time to see the power of them. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and the thing is, the internet, interweb, it's a fast changing place, isn't it? And when we talk about 2015 to normal people, that's not very long ago. But to people who deal in internet, if someone comes in and says, "Oh, I've got a website, I built it in 2015," you're like, "Oh my God, it's ancient."
Yeah,
like Stonehenge. So yeah, it's quite a lot has changed in that time. Simon Dalley, why do you like landing pages?
I think first of all, you're dead right in what you were saying then, that any page on your website can basically be a landing page.
Don't answer the next question. My next question is, what is a landing page? So don't answer that now.
So we just kept chatting. Before you started, you said this just needs to be a conversation. I'm starting to have a conversation. It's not right.
No, I lie.
So it's why am I passionate about landing pages? I'm passionate about digital, and I'm passionate about anything that will help a website to convert. And obviously, landing pages, the decision kind of pages are crucial to that process. And I love kind of finding little insights, little bits of data that then can be used to hopefully improve things. I've and in terms of my experience, obviously, I set up GrowTraffic back in the day originally when it was originally set up. I've headed up the marketing functions at a number of kind of tech companies, and I have been in marketing departments and been in marketing agencies, over the last 20 years, really. So I first managed my first PPC campaign in 2007, I think it was 2007, 2008, 2007. And so I've been, utilizing kind of various landing page kind of tools over the years. So it's important. They are important, and it just depends. I sometimes think that it just depends on who I'm working with, what I'm working on, the level of importance that they are to my role at any one time. But obviously, even from kind of a social media SEO, every digital kind of sphere that you can think of, landing pages are important.
Yes, I mean,
but I'm trying not to answer your next question. Sorry.
Yes, shut up then. Landing pages are important, and I mean, I was kind of slightly tongue-in-cheek saying, "Why are you passionate about landing pages?" But we are an SEO agency. Aaron, you're a web dev, web design agency. Landing pages are the core of what we do. They are the basis of everything. If you haven't got a good landing page, you can send as much traffic to it as you like and do as much PPC as you like. If that's not going to convert, the end customer is not happy. They're not getting what they want out of it, and in their eyes, you will have failed. So they are the foundation stone of every single kind of marketing activity that you do afterwards. But I think we're absolutely right. First of all, the first thing we need to do is nail down what is a landing page. So Aaron, as you said, there is a lot of controversy about this, because some people just say, well, a landing page is any page that people come in on. If you go on your Google Analytics, you can look at your landing page data. You can see how many people are coming into it, what page they're landing on your website, whether they're coming from Google or Facebook or LinkedIn or wherever. That is a landing page. Other people say that a landing page is a specific, all-in-one thing, and if it doesn't have a contact form on the bottom of it, it's not a landing page. So Aaron, if somebody says to you, build me a landing page, what would you build them?
I'd have to ask a lot of questions first to find out what actually the end goal of the landing page was. Because I don't like even both of the things that you said there. I don't agree with them either.
Go on then. You tell us what
it's mad. And HubSpot say that a landing page is something kind of like an exchange of value. So it's you type in your email address and you get to download something. For me, that's not a landing page at all.
No,
when I think of a landing page, I think of something that has a very specific action for a user to take at the end of it, or in the middle of it, or just right at the top. So it's a very specific page that contains pictures, content, copy, headlines, maybe a contact form, maybe just a button, but it's a very specific action that user needs to take, and it doesn't have any of the fluff that the rest of your website has. And that is kind of how I would sum up in a simple way what a landing page is.
So I disagree with that. So I know where you're going, and I think that the terminology has been conflated. I think that's the problem. That a landing page is in its very kind of rudimentary form it's the first page that somebody hits when they land on a website. That is what a landing page is. That's the definition of a landing page. What we're really talking about is a page that has a direct response to it. So you have to do something. You have to take an action on that page that leads to something. So we might be better thinking of calling them kind of lead generation pages, or sales pages, whatever that is. But you're right. It depends on what you do on that page, but fundamentally, it's just over the years the terminology of what is a landing page being any page that you land on the website has just been kind of subsumed, largely because of PPC. I think.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah,
we are going to come on to PPC, but I mean, if I was talking,
is that the next question?
No, it's not the next question, but we will be coming on to it. If I was talking to, in fact, I was talking to a potential client the other day, and I said to her, you know, what I want to do is we should build some landing pages, build a specific landing page for a specific campaign, and what I mean by that is that we would have a landing page that in a way has all the information for that specific product, service, or action. So what we wanted people to do was sign up for a specific service, a kind of one-off thing that was separate to everything else that she offered. And on that page, I would imagine it would need to have, you know, information about what the thing is, why her thing is better than everybody else's thing, and here's where you sign up to the thing. And so to me, it serves a kind of dual purpose in that it focuses on one thing, but also it has that direct action that you want somebody to take after it. So it's a really kind of specified page, isn't it? But my next question to you both then is, why is every page on a website not a landing page? Because surely if we were building really good websites, is that not what every page on a website should do? Discuss.
I think it depends on. Thank you for letting me go first. I think it depends on the role of the website, really, because some websites aren't set up to sell. Not every page needs to have a conversion rate tied to it, whereas a landing page, and I think everything that we're saying is right in a weird way. This is how weird landing pages are. That generally, I'd say a landing page is a marketer's dream. It's something that you can track, you can improve, and you can always be testing that page. I've forgotten what your question was. Sorry.
Well,
and I think
it was originally, why is every page not a landing page? Because surely every page should focus on it should have a focused keyword. It should talk solely about that one thing, that word, product, service, keyword, whatever it is you're focusing on. It should always have a call to action and a purpose when you get to the end of it. So again, we're back to, and I know I'm not expecting you to have a definitive answer to this, because this is precisely why landing pages are so contentious. But why is every page on a website not a landing page?
I think it's actually easier to explain what page isn't a landing page. So for me, you're right in that any entry point to your website can be a landing page, or maybe should be a landing page, or maybe is a landing page. I just call it an entry point. That's just my terminology. So like a homepage, for instance, is the de facto landing page for most websites, because it's where most people are going to go to first. But for a homepage, there's usually multiple stops to get off the train. Whereas with a landing page, there's usually only one stop, and that one stop is the destination that you want the user to get off at. Whereas on a landing page, on a homepage, you usually want it to push all your different services, all your different products, and the user can almost find their own user journey throughout the website. Whereas with a landing page, it has a very specific user journey, which has been defined by the person who has created the page, or the person who wants the page to sell a particular product or a service. So I think it's sometimes easier to define what a landing page isn't rather than what it is.
Yeah, and of course there are certain pages on your website which are highly unlikely to be your landing pages. You know, your contact page, unless you're directly sending people there, is not often your landing pages. As you say, it's those kind of the home page, the top level parent pages are the ones that are likely to be landing pages, and the ones that are kind of further down the hierarchy probably are going to be less so unless you're directly sending people there. You raise an interesting point there, and you said you would refer to them as an entry page, and you know, again, this is not a question, this is just a comment, but you know, when you look in Google Analytics in the back end, you have exit pages. So why have Google called them landing pages instead of entry pages and exit pages? It seems crackers, doesn't it? Dalley, any comments on that?
Yeah, that's
what they've always been called, and it's not. It's just that the kind of acquisition kind of marketers, you know, as that has become more specialized, have taken that word and taken it on. They were always called landing pages before people started to think about conversion rate optimization and all the things that go with building a really targeted kind of landing page.
So conversion rate optimization, for anyone watching who's not au fait with the language of SEO, is simply optimizing your website on the page to ensure that once you've got people there, they are converting into customers or inquiries or email signups or whatever action you want them to take. So it's doing things like, you know, kind of A/B testing, using heat maps, tweaking it, putting more calls to action in, just kind of refining it. That's what conversion rate optimization is. So SEO is sort of the act of getting people there, and CRO is then the act of converting them into customers in the broader sense. So we haven't defined landing pages anymore. I think we've got a bit of a better idea as to what they are. What purpose do they serve, and how can they benefit a website? Back to the point of, if every page on your website should, or all the main pages on your website should encourage somebody to take an action, what can the benefit be of specific landing pages? Why would people go to the effort of building them? Aaron, I'm coming to you again first.
Okay. Again, and I think it very much does depend on the customer and the customer's needs when we look at what a customer actually needs and what the end goal is. But I think really, so the first way I heard about landing page, as in the marketeer's landing page type thing, it was always a free download, and it was always to type in your email address and your name, and you can download this ebook and you'll learn how to do something. So I think when it first came about, they sort of marketers usually set up landing pages as almost like an entry to the sales funnel. It was a very, very quick exchange of value. So someone would type in their email address and they get an ebook or something that they could download, which solved a very, very specific problem. So it might be something like 10 ways to lose fat, or 10 key tips to a healthier life. And you would effectively download their ebook and you would get onto their email list. Yeah. So it was a good, and it's a good way for marketeers to get people and business owners to get people onto their email list. And that's really what sort of I saw early days of what a landing page, what kind of use a landing page could serve. I think that's definitely changed now, and people are using them for a lot of different things. If you guys want to jump into what you guys have used some landing pages for,
So I'm thinking about one of my most successful landing pages, and this was from probably 2008, and we had a calculator on there actually. So similar thing, data capture form of some description. It was for a company that did debt management solutions, and it was at the time of the last recession. And basically, so we went on the website and they put their details in. They put their amount of debt in, how terms and all the rest of it, what type of debt it was, and it told them basically if they should have an IVA site, some kind of debt management product, or whether they could do various things, or bankruptcy, whatever it was. And they get the result there and then. But also they entered their email address, they entered their name and their telephone number. And as soon as that was entered, then they would get a phone call from the debt management consultant, whatever they were called, sales guy, telephone kind of person, and they'd be converted that way. So, but so that's kind of, and talking about conversion rate optimization, actually, that's an interesting one. So, I mean, we were putting quite a considerable amount of traffic through those pages, but we did we tested button colors on just like the submit button color, and we found that, I think if I remember rightly, it was yellow, made the conversion rate increase by a third. So just something as simple as changing the button color. colour to yellow, and that's what you need to be doing with landing pages. That's the benefit of them, and also. What's the benefit of having landing pages over just using the pages that are on your website already? You know, there's opportunity to split test, multivariate test. You can essentially have multiple landing pages for the same piece of activity that are all ever so subtly different. And obviously, you can't do that on your front-facing website because it would be confusing for the customer on your website. It would also you'd get all kinds of duplicate kind of content going on there. It wouldn't be nice, but yeah. So there's lots of we've got a customer actually that at the moment a PPC customer that has probably for the PPC campaign they probably have something like 70 or 80 landing pages specific to different campaigns, but on the website they probably have about 10 general kind of pages. I think some of them do feed through to them, but it's you don't need them all on the front facing bit of the website. But for the PPC campaign, it's quite important because of relevancy. I know you're going to get onto PPC, so I won't go too far into this, Roa. But it's more important for helping convert people from those campaigns.
Yeah, I mean, we've covered a kind of a lot of points in one go there, but in terms of kind of what the benefits of them can be and what they serve, one of that first one that you mentioned is the huge one. It's that gathering data, isn't it? You can gather the data of the people who are on your website. You can sign them up to your email newsletter form. You can start putting them into your sales funnel. You can, add them onto your list of people that you need to get back to, however you want to do it, stick them into your CRM, but it's a means of gathering data, which can be incredibly valuable for businesses because, knowing who's on your website is knowing the numbers is one thing, that they're kind of anonymous data, but if you can get the details of the people who are looking and actively seem interested, you're already one step ahead in your marketing process, aren't you? So yeah, it can help you grow your email list, all of those basic things. And you're absolutely right, that kind of gated content is still really valuable. We've got one on our website. Every year we put our content calendar on there, and that's gated content. So it just really helps you grow your mailing list. But the other thing, absolutely, is this A/B kind of this testing thing that you can do. And I just want to explore that a little more, because there are lots of different ways that you can use landing pages, as Dalley said, to test kind of how well people are responding to your designs and to your colors and to your call to action button and to your text and all different elements of it. And you can use landing pages to test that. There's also things like heat maps. Aaron, do you use heat maps very often when you're kind of analyzing landing pages?
Absolutely, yeah. Use every tool that you can get your hands on. If conversion rate optimization is if it's a landing page, it's going to have some sort of conversion rate that you want tied to it. So if you can get your hands on a tool, use it, and use it as to the best of your ability. Definitely heat maps.
Don't mention the tool. Rachel will ask you about that later on. Jumping ahead.
I will ask you. Well done. He's learning.
Yeah.
He's learning.
If it just ends up being an Excel spreadsheet that you use and that's your tool, just measure something and use something. Absolutely.
So
just to go back a step as well, when you said like what's the point of using a landing page over just a normal web page? I think most website owners and marketers would agree that landing pages do have better conversion rates than just a standard web page, and that's I guess that is the most, as a basic reason to use one, that's the most fundamental that you can get, I think.
So I
think the thing about...
Sorry, Dalley, just one sec. So a statistic, when I was doing a little bit of research, believe it or not, I do a bit of research for these things. But apparently a good landing page can double your conversion rate. Obviously, if you're starting on a low point, that doesn't mean a lot. But landing pages there was an analysis of hundreds of thousands of websites, and on average, you had double the conversion rate on a landing page as you had on, say, your homepage or any other page on your website. So yeah, they can be much more reactive and profitable for people. Anyway, go on, Dalley, what were you going to say?
I was going to say that landing pages, those conversion stats are interesting, but they also tie into the intent of the visitor at any one time. So landing pages tend to be used from through kind of paid acquisition kind of channels. At which point the visitor, the people that you're driving to those pages, are potentially already in more of a kind of buyer mindset or a transactional mindset than somebody who is, searching from one website to another to find content, or somebody that has stumbled across something through a link on social media. They weren't already thinking about it. So there are other reasons for that, and likewise, there are reasons why you wouldn't make every page on your website a traditional landing page with you kind of as much in the fold as possible with your contact form down the top right hand side and all those kind of standard landing page layouts. There are reasons why you wouldn't do that, because it would be off-putting to people coming in from other channels.
Yeah, so people who are coming in, say if you've got a blog post and you're putting that on social media, people who are browsing social media, they're not actively looking for your product and service. So in fact, I was having this very conversation, excuse me, with a client the other day. And if they read, they're just finding out about you and your organization straight away, and the first thing you do is send them through to a contact form or a buy now or a sign up here, it's too big a leap. You're not providing them with the information for those in-between steps that they are going to need to be convinced that you are the right company, or you have the right product, or you're the right ones to help them, whatever it might be. So it's too quick. Whereas you're absolutely right, and we are now going to come on to PPC, Dally. You will be relieved to hear. If you are setting a landing page up for a PPC campaign, those people who are likely to be landing on that, they are actively searching for your product or your service. So they're already a few steps ahead of that down that buyer journey. So they are much more like, you can send them to a landing page. They're actively looking for your product and service. So you need to give them just a little bit of information about this is what my product or service is. But then you can put a whacking great contact form there, or a buy now or whatever, because they're at that stage where they're ready. So yeah, intent is a really important thing. And I think when we'll come on to in a minute, how business owners start with this, but when they're thinking about, do I need a specific landing page for this, or do I just need a normal web page? It's, well, who's going to be landing on it? Who's going to be using it? And what information are they going to need before they make that buyer decision? So go on, Dally, tell us, how can landing pages help with PPC and paid social as well to a certain extent?
How can they help? They help convert customers.
But why is it? Why is sending somebody?
Why
is sending somebody from a PPC campaign to a landing page better? I suppose I've just given the answer, really, haven't I? Than sending them to a normal web page.
In most, yeah, I think you did just give the answer in the previous point that you made. That they convert at higher rates. And that's because the intent is there with the visitors to those websites that are actively searching for something. They're actively using more excuse me, shorter kind of search queries, which are have a higher transactional intent and all the rest of it. So yeah, that's why.
Another instance where this would help.
Sorry, paid social. You just said about paid social as well. Paid social is actually probably more interesting than PPC because you need to make the landing pages work harder for paid social than you do for PPC, because whilst the PPC, whilst paid social is very targeted, has got much more targeted, the people that are seeing the ads still aren't as far along that kind of in their intent. So they're often not even in that kind of informational stage where they're just trying to find things out. You've just triggered their interest. So there needs to be more alignment between the landing page and the ad, and they need to be cleverer. But there's a chance to do that.
Yeah, I think you've just brought up a few important things there. Informational stage. I think that's why a lot of people started by collecting information, giving away information, and that fair exchange of value. And I think for them to work, it had to feel like you were getting or the visitor was getting a very, very juicy free resource for me or anyone else to want to actually put in my email address. So I think I guess the desire had to outweigh the cost. And I think a lot of what you said about where they are in the buying journey as well, I think that is definitely a big part of how much a landing page will convert. And I try to stay out of PPC and paid social and any type of social, really, because I just think it's a beast upon itself. So it's interesting just to hear you guys say, I mean, we've experienced the same thing, but yeah, hear you guys really confirm that landing pages will be structured different depending on what the traffic source is.
Yeah, I do think that is a really important thing to make, is that, and I think that's a big mistake that people make, isn't it? That they think, oh, I'll have one landing page for, I've got this hand cream, so I'm going to have this one landing page. I'm going to do PPC with it, and I'm going to do Facebook, and I'm going to do Instagram, and I'm going to put it out on my email newsletter, and I'm just going to send everybody to this one landing page. And actually, that's not going to work. You need to have different landing pages for different audiences, don't you? Give them the information that they need.
Sometimes those landing pages as well don't necessarily have to be within your own site, because if you think about what Facebook does, with the lead capture forms that they've got within their own ecosystem, and I've been doing some beta testing for Google Ads, and they're doing similar things potentially.
Yeah. Again, I will come back to that in one sec. There was, just before we move on from kind of how they can help and why you would use them, I was speaking to a client again this week, and she has a website that the one that I mentioned before, actually, that focuses on a certain service, and it's quite a bespoke, quite a high-end, quite an expensive, exclusive service. What she wants to do now is offer a kind of cheaper package that's accessible to everybody now, and she wants to start doing some paid PPC, paid social, all the rest of it. On that instance, our recommendation was, let's build a landing page, because that content isn't already on the website. It's a new set of keywords. Eventually it might be broken out into its own website, but it's kind of a shortcut, isn't it? Before, without needing to either rebuild a new website, without needing to add several pages and several blogs, without needing to re-optimize the website, you could put a landing page on there with some keywords, drive traffic to it, and it's a good way to sort of launch a new product or service, isn't it? What do you two think about that, Aaron? What do you think?
I'd agree 100% with that. I think you've advised that client in the right way. And I think you can actually do it kind of pre-launch as well. So your service or product doesn't have to be launched. It can just be an idea, and you kind of want to test the market and see before you've put any time into, I mean, we're guilty of sin as everyone else. You want to be an idea to be perfect before you launch it into the world and let it grow its own legs and set it free. But if you just got an idea and you quickly want to test it, especially with paid traffic, you can just launch a landing page, get some source of traffic in there, and it's probably going to be paid, whether it's via social or Google or Bing or whatever else you guys do. If you can get some traffic to the page and people actually convert, that is some way to proving that someone is actually interested in this before you've looked on how to fulfill the back end of that offer. Obviously, you're not going to take any payment before you can provide any actual service, but you can see if people are just generally interested in that offer on a very, very basic level without wasting your time.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. You could create a kind of really basic piece of content, couldn't you? Like a PDF or something, and say, give us your info. How interested are you? What's the traffic like? What's the response? Are people going to download this? You're absolutely right. It's a good way of testing the water.
Very lean.
What?
It's a very lean of you.
If we've talked a lot about how landing pages are really good because they are kind of really targeted and really contained within themselves. Would landing pages be a good organic SEO strategy? Are they a good way of kind of driving traffic, or are they better if you're thinking of doing paid search marketing? Dalley, what do you think?
well, one thing depends what we're talking about when we talk about landing pages. I do wonder whether we're
Is that our first It Depends for this session?
this is a different kind of it depends, because one of the things that I think we might be talking about as well is the landing pages that you get from places like Unbounce and Instapages, which are separately hosted landing pages on an entirely different kind of platform than your existing website. So that's one thing. But obviously you can build landing pages on your own website. You know, there's all kinds of plugins you can get for things like WordPress that enable you to set up different templates for specific pages. You know, outside the typical builders that most of the themes come with. So does it help for SEO? Yes and no, but you've got to remember at all times why the visitor's there and what stages they are in the kind of buy journey, and what's going to put them off at various points. You know, most businesses, it's probably too aggressive to have a traditional kind of masthead contact form down one side, and you know, aggressive kind of to the point, short kind of bits of copy just to get somebody to convert. It's probably a bit too much.
And that's back to that. You've got to consider the intent of the user, haven't you? You know, people who are coming in organically are more likely to be searching for a product or service, but they're still going to be a little bit further up the funnel than, you know, your average kind of PPC people.
The other thing that you tend to do on landing pages is get rid of things like navigation, and you know, anywhere that will facilitate leakage of the visitor from that page. On a landing page, you tend to remove all that, whereas that's not a natural kind of experience. That's not, you know, probably violate Google's guidelines to be honest. So, you know, for a number of reasons, probably not.
I just want to, before we come on to, time is marching away from us as it ever does, and I do want to come on to sort of where businesses would start with building and designing in landing pages. But before we do that, a lot of people I know use services like Unbounce and Lead Pages. These are service providers that, as Dally's just said, you create a landing page and it's not on your website. It is hosted somewhere else. You know, traffic is being driven to a page that you've created. It's about you, it's about your product, it's about your service, but it is not sitting on your website. And so you pay like a set monthly fee, or however you've signed up to it, for them to generate traffic, drive it, host the landing page, all the rest of it. Somebody asked me the other day, is it better to have those landing pages sitting within their own website rather than using the services? I think they were using Lead Pages. So obviously we're not saying anything about Unbounce and Lead Pages. You know, all of these services have their place and they're really, really valuable for people. But Aaron, what would you say if somebody asked you that question?
6 and 2 3s for me. It's all depending on how is the user going to get there. And Simon said it earlier, you don't actually have to have it as almost like a navigatable page on your website. So you can have it as just a normal page, but it's still excluded from all your menus, from all your pagination, from your footer, your headers, any other sidebar links that you might have. And you can make it feel like it's just a page by itself. And then that's kind of the same as what you're doing if you use something like Lead Pages or Instapage or whatever else. So on a technical level and on a web developer level, it's kind of the same, really. There's no real difference for me.
I've used Unbounce and I think Instapages and Lead Pages as well over the years, and I mean,
that's a mighty mug, by the way.
Do you know what I was just thinking? Is there any that doesn't have a giant Sports Direct mug? That must be one of the most successful marketing campaigns in the world, mustn't it?
Good, isn't it? And and the office is so far away from the kettle, to be honest. So it helps. What was I going to say? Oh, yeah. So the benefit of using those platforms is the analytics tools that they give you. Well, twofold. It's the analytics tools that they give you, but also that the templates that you get out of the box from them have already been are constantly being tested and improved. That said, whenever I go and look at them nowadays, they all look pretty much the same to me. Like they've perfected this and perfected this to the point where it is just what it is. You know,
Yeah.
that's what a landing page needs to look like. And I question whether you need to spend all that money every month to get on.
But then this is what, you know, I say this to people quite often. There is a reason that landing pages look like that. There is a reason that your website is set up with your navigation bar at the top and your contact bar in the far left and your home and your icon, your logo in the top right. You know, the reason is that this has now been tried and tested over millions and millions and millions of websites, and it's a method that works. It's how people know how to navigate websites and landing pages and stuff that look like that. So there is a very good, yeah, you're right, they're boring, but when you know, when you get web designers, and they go for these like fancy designs and, oh, let's break the mold and let's do something completely different, well, the upshot is that actually people just don't know how to use it and don't know where to go. So, you know, they're designed like that for a reason, aren't they?
Yeah. No, you're right. You are right. There's definitely some anchoring going on of now it's such an established kind of thing that's what a landing page is going to kind of function like and what it's going to do, that they all kind of anchor off each other. So the user inherently knows what to do on that page and what the kind of purpose of the page is. So yeah, you're right. Yeah. I've got nothing really to add there.
I think the only time that it ever changes is when there's like a little technological leap. So when I think it was about 2013, was it, when 2013-14, when smartphones started to become the dominant way in which people access the internet. Just little times like that change how things are laid out. So, for example, navigation structures used to before that always had a navigation bar. It always had the navigation in the masthead, but there was often a navigation bar down the left-hand side as well. So you had kind of an L shape at the top, and that, because of mobiles, that eventually was kind of phased out for a burger menu on most websites or a drop-down menu on desktops.
Yeah.
And you see similar things obviously in landing pages, because the screen is so much smaller, that the pages have to be responsive to smartphones and all the rest of it. So it does impact the way that pages are laid out, and you'll still see quite a few landing pages that aren't responsive on mobiles. They just are what they are.
Yeah.
So okay. That is the only thing now that's gonna change them, I think, going forward. It's just how technology changes, how touchscreen evolves, how screen sizes change.
Yeah, well,
what do you guys think about the size of a landing page then? As in, like, how much content would you guys?
Well, Aaron, you have led me perfectly into my next question. So my next question is: so a lot of the people that watch this are small to medium business owners. Most of them are sort of doing it themselves. So they're trying to. They might have a web team or an SEO team that they work in conjunction with, but most people are kind of doing this themselves. So if you were to start advising a small to medium business of what they needed on a landing page, kind of what should the ideal landing page contain, where would you both start? So Aaron, you posed the question then, how much content should it contain? Dalley, do you have a view on that?
I do.
Well, go on then, tell us.
Yeah, okay, sure.
Go for it.
Okay, so relatively little content. You want to get straight to the point straight away. Started off with a question, probably question that engages the user. Starting off with the pain point. Do you have this problem? that you know that they've got that problem because you already know how they've landed on that page. Then you tell them about the features of the solution that you've got, and then you tell them about the benefits of the of those features and how that's gonna solve their pain points and problems, and then you wrap them into a call to action at the bottom and make them take an action in some capacity, whatever that'll be. But relatively little content on there because you just want to make them do something. And the more content that you put on there, the more opportunity you're giving them to raise new questions, new objections. You still need to have a little bit of text on there. Don't get me wrong, but those standout bits of copy, those standout bits of what we normally call micro copy on a normal web page, they do all the work basically. You want to have an image on there that's really specific to that page as well. Just everything's geared towards an action.
So the general rule of thumb with web pages, when I say general, I really mean general, is about 1,000 words per web page. Would you say that's too much for landing pages?
Yes.
What do you think, Darren?
Yeah, it's very easy to get tied up in generalities, isn't it? But is that even a word? No. Yeah, I think I'd pretty much agree with that. I think you can add in things like trust markers as well. So if you've got some really, really good testimonials that are really specific to how someone has solved their problem by using your product or service, I think they're really important, and you can sort of, obviously your page isn't going to have loads of content anyway, but if you can dot them, maybe a couple of them on the page, probably maximum. You definitely don't want any more than 3, because it'll seem like you're trying too hard. But yeah, I think it's definitely. I always, when I'm building a landing page, I always follow the AIDA principles, which is attention, interest, desire, action. And if you follow that, I think you kind of nailed it, really.
Yeah, I like that. Where someone will put that in the chat box.
Interest, desire, action.
Attention,
that is a good one.
Action.
So your attention would be your really, really strong problem-solving headline, which draws the user in. The interest is, I always like to, as well as the AIDA principle, is tell a story as well. So if you can make the problem into sort of the enemy, and you don't want to be the hero, you want your customer to feel like they're the hero, and you're more the Yoda, you're the guide who is guiding them towards the solution. If you're not into Star Wars like me, you can think of it as like James Bond. So James Bond is the hero, and Q and M are the guides behind it. So you're more like that sort of character, and you're kind of guiding the visitor or your potential customer towards solving their own problem or helping them solve their problem with your service or solution.
I think that is invaluable advice, actually, Aaron, and you're absolutely right. I mean, the whole rule with copywriting is always it's tell that story. It's what are the pain points, and make that into the compelling story that puts the reader or the buyer or the customer or whatever it might be at the heart of that story. And that absolutely is the principle around which landing page. I've seen a lot of landing pages recently, and that you tend to find this, when you're on Amazon or things like that, and also through Facebook ads and stuff. And what they've done is they've created a landing page that has all of that stuff at the beginning. So they have a landing page, and then they have the contact form and the buy now button or whatever it might be. And then they go on again and they start, and it's almost like they're repeating themselves over and over and over again. Is that a really old-fashioned way of doing it?
I think it depends how much brand equity you have and how much trust people have. I guess that's what brand equity is, but how much trust people have already got when they land on your page. And I think it is almost like a fine line of, you don't want to say too much, because then you've got the potential of turning that customer off. And if you've nailed exactly what problem that they're emotionally feeling, and they emotionally feel inside that this is the solution for me, just give them the contact form, give them the button, make them take the action, and job done. Sort of
It's
thing.
almost like, you know, those infomercials on TV, you know, if you get up really early and start watching like Channel 4 in the morning and you've got those really long infomercials for steam mops or something, and they just go on for like 10 minutes and there's loads of people saying, this steam mop revolutionized my life. My tiles have never looked so clean. You know, my dog isn't allowed in the house anymore because my floors are cleaner than they've been in 20 years. And after a bit, you're like, all right, why are you feeling the need to keep telling me and going on about it? And what I thought for like the first 30 seconds was really, really good. I'm like, I need a steam mop. I cannot live any longer without a steam mop. By the end of it, I'm like, all right, no, it's a con. It's got to be a con. And it's that same thing, isn't it? Don't keep going over the same thing.
Definitely can be, yeah. But I must say, I do think them adverts are absolute genius. I think they're just incredible. But
they're maybe hypnotic, aren't they?
Yeah, maybe
they are hypnotic. That's it.
Yeah, and maybe that's what it is. They've tested that enough, and that's the formula that helps their customer convert. It's that cycle of start in here. They've got your attention, make you desire it. Okay, we'll give them the call now to order or whatever it is. They haven't done it yet. So they need to start that cycle again until they've got them. And maybe they know it takes 3 times through that cycle, 4 times, 5 times, whatever it is. Because they need like 45 minutes at a time, aren't they?
Yeah. Maybe just reach a point where they're like, for God's sake, stop with the steam mop. I'll buy it just to shut you up.
We have another interesting thing about just talking about landing pages specifically as well, that there are different conventions in different countries. And you'll often see landing pages that are very American, and they don't work with the UK audience as well. And similarly, the UK landing pages don't necessarily work with the American audiences as well. So you've got to consider things like that. You know, different countries, different landing pages.
Absolutely. The Americans are much more into that kind of that shopping channel infomercial thing, aren't they? They buy into that so much more than the British do, I think. So yeah, maybe it's just.
You don't mind being told to, where the Brits get turned off by it quite quickly. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. We are running out of time as ever. There's so much that we could talk about with this. So my last kind of couple of questions. If anybody has a question that they would like to pose, type it very quickly. Someone's banging on my door. If you are watching this back afterwards, please do still type your question in the comments box, because we will watch and we will answer your question. But my last 2 ones that I want to come on to. My first question really is, are there any apps or resources that you found really useful? So if you were advising a small to medium business owner, they came to you today, they said, I want to start doing landing pages, but I don't know where to start. Where would you send them? Where's a good place to get advice? Aaron, you first.
Come and speak to me, or go and speak to you, really. I think it's probably worth speaking to a few different people as well and trying to work out what people have used them for, what success they've had, whether they've been a waste of time for what they were trying to do. Most of the time, it'll only be a waste of time if they used them in the wrong way, and whether it's actually a good fit for use rather than just using it for absolutely everything. A resource on a web development sort of thing, I always just Google good landing pages, and it always seems to be HubSpot that come up, and it's like 20 landing page designs that you'll want to copy in 2020. And I find them really, really good. And I don't agree with everything that they write up in them articles, but it gives you some good ideas about what other companies are doing, what you kind of think, yep, that's good. And then some other ones that you think, no, that's just really, really bad. But they kind of break them down really good as well. So just Google landing page and just loads of resources will come up.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you say, those HubSpot, 20 landing page templates, they are really handy, aren't they? But and it comes back to that, they're tried and tested designs. So, they're pretty much not guaranteed to work, but they're kind of the best that you could get. Dalley, what about you? What would be apps, websites, resources? Where would you tell people to go first?
I mean, it depends what they want to do. If they'll insist adamant that they're going to do it themselves, I'd probably send them to the likes of Unbound, Lead Pages, Insta Pages.
Me too.
Yeah. And I'd say I'd say don't worry about trying to do this on your own WordPress website, because you'll probably break something, probably get it wrong, and it'll probably go all to hell. And actually, once you've done it, you won't have enough data from your Google Analytics account to really understand what's going on anyway. So go to those platforms. If they do have a bit of technical nous about them, I might suggest that they use some of the plugins on their WordPress website, for example, but then also install something like Hotjar to track the kind of user, to get some videos of the user, see what's going on.
So just explain what Hotjar is very quickly.
Hotjar is a UX, user experience kind of piece of tracking software. It does everything: click heat maps, to scroll mapping, to
so it tells you where people are looking on the page, doesn't it? It tells you where people are looking, where they're clicking,
all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
Actually records as well, so you can actually watch your users do stuff, which is kind of a bit scary. But they do have some free plans as well, don't they, Hotjar?
Yeah, they have a 2-week free plan. You can get 2 weeks for free on Hotjar. So, which is often enough data. It depends on the amount of traffic you're getting. So, as long as you're getting an all right amount of traffic, then it's generally enough.
Yeah, I mean, Hotjar is amazing, and like you say, for 2 weeks you can generally get a good idea. But I think it's absolutely right. If somebody is an absolute beginner with landing pages and they don't know kind of where to start or what to do, I would say, try Unbounce or Lead Pages, or as you said before, if you're running Facebook ads or Instagram ads, you can do kind of that function within the entirety of that platform, can't you? So it's a good way to dip your toe in the water. I'm afraid we are up to 2 o'clock, so we are going to run slightly over, but we started slightly late, so that's okay. So I just the thing that I always finish on is what would your top tip be? So if somebody came to you now, they were just going to start the job, not where would you send them, but what would your top tip be if you were advising somebody about landing pages on their website? Dalley, I'm coming to you first this time.
Okay, remember to genuinely give something away. So don't just think to yourself that you're going to put a contact form on there and that's enough. If you can give something away, then do that.
People don't give you their data freely anymore. Once upon a time, people would do that, where they're like, yeah, you can have my email address. Yeah, of course you can. Yeah. Whereas now people are getting so much spam through their emails. You have to give somebody something even to get their email address or some data off them. People are a lot more savvy about that, aren't they? Oh yeah. Aaron, what would your one piece of advice be?
This is not actually my piece of advice, but on the collecting email addresses, there's a really good book called Permission Marketing by Seth Godin, and he sort of set out that whole thing. But my actual tip on landing pages would be, if you're using a landing page builder, you're often going to pick a theme or a template or a design or something like that. Don't butcher the design. Try and make your words fit what they've got, because it's made for that amount of content. And I would say the words are more important than the design as well. So if you can craft some really, really, really strong, emotionally strong words and copy, and there's other people who can help you with that. Cough, cough. Make your words count. Make your words count.
Good.
It's about being really distinct with those words, and often I've had lots of conversations with clients over the years where they, you talk to them about setting up a landing page, and they feel almost shortchanged because they've got so few words on the page, and you say, well, what they don't realize is it's actually more difficult to put fewer words on a page than it is to put lots of words on a page.
Yeah, as an ex-freelance copywriter, I will guarantee that I'd give me 3,000 words any day over. I'm terrible at that. But yeah, so thank you. My top piece of advice would be, think about the intent of the people who are landing on your page. So who is landing there, and map that out. Where are they coming from? How much information are they going to need at that point? And if you are running multiple campaigns, so if you're doing a bit of PPC, you're doing a bit of social media, you're doing a bit of organic, you are going to need a different landing page for each of those platforms, because the people who are coming onto it are at a different stage, and they are going to need different information before they make that final decision to sign up or join or buy or whatever it might be. So consider who is landing on the page and build your content and your images and everything around that. And that's it. So thank you so much. Thank you, Aaron. Will you please go on the comment section afterwards and put your details in there if anybody would like to talk further about landing pages, or you're looking for a website, or you need some advice. You can't go wrong with Aaron, so please do get in touch with him. And also, as I said, if you are watching back and you have a question, please do put it in the chat box and we will do our best to answer it. In the meantime, have fun. Thank you very much, guys. Let's hope everyone's going to go off and build landing pages.